And whoever listens carefully will go home enriched. So being Parshas Korach, we welcome all our friends who are listening online from all over the world. My very best to you. And don't forget that this month we are blessing the new month of Tammuz, this Shabbos, the new month of Tammuz. And this is a very difficult time for the Jewish people because it is in this month that the walls of Yerushalayim were breached. So we need all the help from Hashem because Jewish history keeps repeating itself. So let us hope that this year, the month of Tammuz, will be a symbol of blessing for us. So we go to Parshas Korach, and I'll get into it right away. And I'll tell you exactly what page in case you want to follow me. We're in the book of Bamidbar, that's the book of Numbers, and we are on page 820. Vayikach Korach, and Korach took Ben Yisro, the son of Yisro, Ben Kohath, the son of Kohath, Ben Levi, the son of Levi, Dosan Babium, and Dosan and Abium, Bnei Eliov, the sons of Eliov, On Ben Peles, and On Ben Peles, Bnei Reuven, the sons of Reuven. So anybody reads this in English says, oh, let me close this book. Nothing interesting. Man, Korach took, and then you give his genealogy. What does that mean? So listen carefully. Tonight we are going to discuss the 3 deadliest sins in the world that are responsible for bringing people to tragedy. These are the 3 deadliest sins. 1 is jealousy. 2 is taiva. Taiva means lust. 3 is covered, honor-seeking. Kino, jealousy. Taiva, lust. And the 3rd is honor-seeking. The first 2, kino, jealousy, and taiva, when you get older, you realize how stupid it is. Why? Because jealousy. What were you jealous of? You know, when you die, the tachriten, the cloak in which you are buried, does not have pockets. Does not have pockets. And that's very symbolic because you don't have pockets when you go up there. You go empty-handed. The only thing you could take with you is your soul and your good deeds. The tachritin, the cloak in which you are buried, does not have pockets. It says you get older and you start thinking about your life. You realize, what was I jealous of? What's the point? I can't take anything with me anyway except my good deeds. The second, lust, getting old. Who has the strength for lust? It's so stupid. Sacrifice your life for what? For what? To pursue what? So stupid of me. The 3rd one, covered, honor. Unfortunately, you don't give it up till the day you die. Most people, even when they are old, are very, very makbet. Makbet in Hebrew means very strict about it. That's my chair. You didn't speak about me. I'm insulted. People are very, very difficult about honor, even when they are old. So these are the 3 sins that bring people to their downfall. All sins, all transgressions stem from these 3. These are the fathers of sins. If you're honest with yourself and you trace your background, you will see that either you were jealous, that made you do this, either you lusted, that made you do this, or either you were seeking honor. So let's find out what we have in this parsha. Vayikach Korach, and Korach took. Who was Korach? Korach was the cousin of Aaron and Moses. Aaron and Moses were brothers, as you know, and the kahuna, the priesthood, belonged to Aaron, and the Levites all came from Moses. So they were very exalted brothers. Moses appointed Aaron to be the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, at the command of God. All Kohanim, all priests, come are descendants from Aaron. You cannot become a Kohen because you want to be a Kohen. There's no Kohen school, no university for Kohanim that makes you a Kohen. It's not a degree. You're either born into it or you're not. The same thing with Levites. Either you are born into it or not. All Levites are descendants of Moses. Korach was one of the richest men of his generation. Not one, the richest. Yiddish, there was a saying, Reich wie Korach, rich as Korach. That was the ultimate wealth. How come he was so rich? It says, "B'derech sherotze odom le'elich molichin also." If you really desire something, if you really desire it, and you pursue it with all your heart, you'll get it. If you are obsessed about something, you'll get it. So on the path that you want to go, the angels will lead you. Because God will send angels. If you really want it, it will happen. So Korach always wanted to become fabulously wealthy. How do you become fabulously wealthy in Egypt? When the Jewish people became a nation of slaves, and they were robbed of everything, Korach knew that the richest man in Egypt was Joseph. He was king of Egypt. Where is his wealth? And he searched and he searched and he dug until he uncovered his wealth. In addition to that, he hoarded much jewels, many jewels, precious, precious jewels, when the sea split and all the jewels of the Egyptian forces, the chariots, were washed ashore. The richest man, wealthiest. So these people who watched Korach were very envious of him. He was an exalted leader of the Jewish people, a first cousin of Moses and Aaron. You think he's satisfied with what he has? He has a lovely family. He's honored, exalted. He's the richest man of his generation, not of the Jewish people, of his entire generation. Is he happy? Absolutely not. You know why? Vayikach, he took. Vayikach has many meanings. First and foremost, he was a taker. There are some people who are just takers. Takers. They never have enough. They are takers. We, the Jewish people, are not takers. The first bracha that was given to our father Abraham was, Hayeh bracha, be a blessing to others. We are givers. My Holy Father always said, so as Iman can be geben, you should always be in the position to give. So as keimlich darf beten, you should never have to ask. It's a blessing to be able to give. So we are a nation of givers. Chesed, loving kindness, is a pillar of Jewish life. Olam chesed yiboneh, the world was built on chesed, loving kindness, which means to give, and to give more, and yet more. Jewish people would open their hearts, their souls, their homes, their wallets, everything, to their brothers, irregardless of whether they expect something in return or not. That was the Jewish way of life. Korach was a taker. How come he was such a taker? Do you know of anybody amongst the Jewish people who is called Korach? Did you ever meet somebody? You know David, you know Moshe, you know Yaakov, Aaron, all kinds of names, right? Betzalel, Reuven, Shimon. Korach? Where does the name come from? You should understand one thing. Your Jewish name is very powerful. You have to be very careful with it. After whom you name your children. Because God forbid you don't want to name your children after someone who was evil. You know where you find the name Korach in the Torah? The book of Genesis, in Parshas Vayishlach, in the Parsha portion called Vayishlach. You know who Korach was? The son of Esau. Who was Esau? The son of Isaac, who was wicked, who was evil, who swore to kill Jacob, and Jacob had to run for his life. 22 years later, when Jacob returns to the land of Israel, he wants to appease his brother Esau. So what does he do? Jacob sends him gifts to keep him calm. I'm coming back. Allow me to send you these gifts. Esau comes forth with his men, 400 of them, to greet Jacob, not for a lovely reason, but to attack. But then Jacob says to him, I brought you these gifts. So Esau says, Yesh li rav, I have a lot. Jacob says, take it. Yesh li kol, I have everything. What is the difference? When you say Yesh li rav, I have a lot, what does that mean? I could use more. Do you ever meet a very rich man? He has so much. Does he say, I have everything? I have a lot. He didn't retire, wants another business deal, and another business deal. He has more money than could ever spend in his lifetime, more money that his children could ever spend. But he hoards. His greed. Once you indulge greed, then greed itself becomes a self-fulfilling reality, and you become a greedy person. It takes on a life of its own. Our father Jacob said, Yesh li kol, I have everything. Did he have everything? Can a man have everything? Yes. You know why? Because each person was given a special mission by God. The world is a symphony. Everyone has been given their own instrument to play. One plays the violin, the other one the drums, the other one the cello. Everyone has a different instrument. Can you imagine if everyone would play the same instrument? Everyone plays the violin. Or everyone plays the drums. Is that a symphony? Of course not. Just a lot of noise. It's not harmony. It's not a symphony. So God gives you your instrument, and that which you need for your instrument you have. Yes, you have everything. But you know why people think they don't? Because it's not what they have. The jealousy comes in there. You have a nice little apartment in Manhattan. It's a studio. It's clean. In the winter, it's nice and warm. In the summer, you have air conditioner. It's nice and cool. Your fridge is full. You have a good bathroom. You could take a good shower. What's wrong? Your linen is clean. You have a good pillow. Good covers. What's wrong? You know what's wrong? Can't stand it. Can't stand it. Your sister-in-law or your brother has this house in the Hamptons. And they have this gorgeous apartment on Park Avenue. Can't stand it. It's not fair. So you never enjoy what you have. The whole day you are grudging. What grudging is? A Yiddish word, you can't explain it. It's like, ooh. It's like a broken record in your mind. Can't stand it. You don't enjoy what you have. Because you only want what you don't have. You would realize what you have, you'd be so happy. You have 2 eyes. You could see. You don't need anyone to help you to walk. You have 2 hands. You could dress yourself. You don't need anyone to help you get dressed. You are capable of taking a bath by yourself. You don't have to wait until the cab person comes, the aide comes to put you in the bathtub or in the shower. You know what that is? You want to go to the doctor, you can't go. You're not mobile. You have to wait until somebody has mercy upon you and will take you and they come in. All right, let's go already. Always so slow, I'm late. Come on, let's go. You know what that is? You don't have to do that. You go to the doctor on your own 2 feet. You don't need anybody. You are the richest person in the world. I know a lady much younger than most people are here. A young woman. She has a baby. She fell down in her own house. On her head. She's paralyzed. She can no longer talk. She cannot take care of her baby. You know what that is? You are the richest person, and chutzpah you have that you are not grateful. Some nerve you have that you're not grateful. Always looking someplace else. Get up and say, thank you, God, for what I have, not what I don't have. The reason why you are jealous is because you keep focusing on what you don't have. And our crazy media is crazy. You see something on the net, online, or you see something on TV. Oh, and you have this, you have that, you'll be happy. You must have this. It will help you to do that. Try this or try that in order to be happy. And they tell you crazy medications you should take in order to have this, in order to have that. And then if you listen carefully to the commercial, it says, in case you have delusions, in case you can't breathe, in case you feel that you're going to die, call your doctor immediately. But take, and you are so stupid, you take it. Can you imagine this? People actually take, otherwise they wouldn't be advertising. It costs them millions of dollars to advertise. And people take it. In case of this, in case of that, call your doctor. But it's a crazy world. So people become jealous, not what they have, that doesn't count. What you don't have. So what did Korach lack? He had money, he had looks, he had a gorgeous family, came from a beautiful, beautiful lineage. What was he lacking? Covered more honor. He had so much honor. But no, somebody had more. Aaron was the high priest. So he's such a moron. With his beautiful intelligence and brilliant mind, he was a moron. You know why? Because he could not be the high priest anyway. Why? Because he's agitating for the high priesthood. So he's involved, he's biased. He's asking for it. He's involved. If you have an interest in something, you cannot give witness. You are biased. So why is he doing this? Because people who are jealous are blind and crazy. And people who want covered honor are obsessed. They just want what other people have. So what does it mean, Vayikach? Not only does it mean that he's always a taker, but he goes from tent to tent to birch. You know, birch, that's a Yiddish word again. Means to incite people. And he's rich, so he knows how to, curry favors. Give something over here, give something over there. You know how people do today, the politicians. So the politicians are happy to do this, happy to do that, because you gave them some favor, right? So he goes from tent to tent. He's very clever. How do people get a following? He cannot just say, I'm against Moses and against Aaron. He cannot say that. So he's very clever. I don't need anything. You see, I'm rich. I have a beautiful family. What do I need? I am concerned about you guys. I want a better world. I am concerned about those people who are being ignored. The little guys. Sounds familiar? So that's how they get the election. They fool the people. So who does he go to first? First, he approaches the tribe of Reuben. They were his neighbors. The Reubenites were his neighbors. Why does he approach them first? Because they had an interest. Reuben was the firstborn. Till the sin of the golden calf, Reuben was in charge of all the services to God. He was in charge, the firstborn. When Reuben sinned with the golden calf, what happened? Reuben lost. He lost his prestige. He lost his privilege. And Hashem transmitted the privilege to Levi. You know why? Because when Moses came after the erection of the golden calf, and he saw what was going on, he says, Milad Hashem Elai, whoever is for God, come unto me. And the tribe of Levi were the ones who came running to champion the cause of God. So tribe of Reuben lost their standing. So who does he go to now? He goes to the tribe of Reuben, Korah. He says, listen, guys, you think that it's God who said that you should not be in charge? I can assure you that God never said that. It's Moses who went to God and he legislated and he spoke and he cried until God agreed, okay, you are going to have your brother as the high priest. It was Moses' machinations, not God. Moses is the one who arranged all this. Sounds good? Yeah. Let me ask you, think about it. How did Korah dare to say something so disrespectful about Moses? Well, think about it. He's not saying that Moses is corrupt. Just says nepotism. He doesn't care about anything else but nepotism. And you know what? I think Korah was the first one to do this. You see, you just need one person to say something that's questionable, and if you had that one person, then you could destroy that individual. So, who was the first one to question the impeccable character of Moses? Who was the first one? You know who? Believe it or not. The Holy Lady. His wonderful sister, Miriam. We find that Miriam, the prophetess, with love and with all good intentions, said privately to her brother Aaron, you know, we should do something about Moses. He's never with his wife. His wife, Zipporah, became a prophet widow, you know, like Wall Street widows, attorney widows. The husband is always busy. And after all, we are also prophets, and I'm also a prophetess. God speaks to us also, but we are there with our spouses. God becomes very angry at them. How dare you question Moses? There is no man on planet Earth who is like Moses. He is the only one I speak to 24/7. Panim panim, face to face. What he does is for me. How dare you? But the damage was done. You have a rabbi. You have a rebbitzin. You have somebody. You think, I mean, I know she's wonderful. I know he's wonderful. But, with that but, you kill. Give license to other people to say but. And the sanctity has been punctured. Do you understand this? We are so careful about that. My husband of blessed memory, his name was Meshulam, which means complete. I say this to you in front of the Torah, I never referred to him by his first name when I was in public. Always the rabbi. The rabbi. Because once I would say Meshulam, oh, that's Meshulam. No, he's the rabbi. Do you understand this? my holy day father, my holy day father, the great sage, the great tzaddik, when I would speak, he would never say Esther. Came to all my speeches. He would sit right by the ark, and I spoke in front of the bema, just like here. My father, the holy sage, with his long white beard, would always say, the Rebbetzin. The Rebbetzin. Today, kids call their fathers by the first name. Their in-laws for sure. Their in-laws for sure. How can you have respect? So Korach goes around, no, it's easy. Moses, yeah, of course, but God spoke to all of us. Just like Miriam said, we are also prophets. There's no comparison, God forbid. God forbid, please don't misunderstand. I'm not comparing Miriam to Korach. Miriam was a saintly woman, a prophetess of Israel. She meant well. She spoke to her brother privately, not in front of anyone. She spoke because she felt sorry for her brother and her sister-in-law. No comparison. But, the news went out. It's not Moshe Rabbeinu. It's not Moses our rabbi, but Moshe. Do you understand this? You have to be so careful. Never should anyone call a parent, an in-law by their first name, a teacher by their first name. This is the American style, of course. There can be no respect that way. No respect. So Korach went borching, like I said, that's a Yiddish word, dropping seeds of poison all over. It's not for me. It's for your sake. For your sake. Now, his genealogy is mentioned. Amazing. If you look at the genealogy, something is wrong, something is missing. It goes up to Levi. But who was the father of Levi? Our father Jacob. Jacob is not mentioned. How come? Because Jacob, it says, prayed that God should not associate his name with Korach. Please, God, he said, do not associate me with my descendant Korach. So his name is not mentioned. But I have a question. I have a big question. I know our father Jacob. I know him from the Torah. And I also know him because I had the privilege of being my father's daughter. There's nothing on earth that I could have done that my father would have said, you are no longer my daughter. There's nothing on earth that I could have done of which my father wouldn't have washed it away with his tears. Do you understand this? My father would never have disassociated himself from any of his descendants. Never. Even from any Jew. When my father would walk and he would meet somebody who was not appropriately dressed, he never saw that they were not appropriately dressed. He just saw that they were beautiful Yiddish neshamas, beautiful Jewish souls. That's all he saw. Would Jacob disassociate himself from his descendants? Could that be? Could that be? No, it cannot be, especially if you know Jacob. Because in the book of Genesis, before Jacob dies, he blesses his grandchildren, his children, and he blesses the two sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. And suddenly he says, Me'ela, who are these? And Joseph, the father, is standing there, and he's bewildered. He says, Ponahim, they are my father's, My father, they are my children. They are my children, my father. Bunahim, they are my sons, my father. My sons. And he shows him his kasuba, his marriage contract. My legitimate sons. My legitimate sons. So why did Jacob say, who are these? Because he had Ruach HaKodesh, which means he was able to see through prophecy, things that nobody else saw. He saw that these two sons would, God forbid, one day have descendants who would be evil and wicked. He says, who are these? How does it come to me? And Joseph says, Bunahim, they are my sons, father. My sons. So Jacob answers, Kochem no'olai, if that's the case, bring them to me. Vochem, I will bless them. Vayishak lohem, and he kissed them. Vaychabek lohem, and he hugged them. Kochem no'olai, bring them here. He blessed them. Vayishak lohem, and he kissed them. Vaychabek, and he hugged them. Do you understand that? So would this Jacob, this patriarch, who said to the sons of Joseph, come to me, I'll bless you, I'll kiss you, I hug you, and you understand, a blessing, you put out your hand on the head. A kiss is on the cheek. But the ultimate is to hug. Because when you hug, you take the whole person into your heart. He hugged them. Would this patriarch, would this father say, I don't want to be associated with my descendants? Would he? Would he? And yet, this is the fact. So how do we explain it? Because our sages say, exactly, didn't want to be associated with them. Do you understand that? We have to know how to understand it. Our father Jacob did not want to be associated because he wanted to leave a pure source, a pure place to which the children would be able to turn and come back to. If the great-grandfather is also part of the conspiracy, to whom should they go? Who will bring them back? What will be the image in their hearts that will prompt them to come home? 99% of you. 99%. At one time or another, were not Shomei Mitzvot. You did not keep the commandments. So you think, you're so smart. You know how I came to Torah? I attended this, I attended that, I went to a Hineni class, I heard the representatives speak, or I was in Jerusalem, I went to the war, something happened. You're all wrong. Do you know why you are sitting here? You know who pushed you over here? Do you know who brought you over here? You holy Zadis who are watching over you. Do you think there are accidents in the world? The word for accident in Hebrew is kara or mikra. Mikra means kara me Hashem. It happened from God. No coincidences. What prompted you really to come back? You think because you heard. You think because you wanted to investigate. You heard about Hineni. You came down to a class. God bless you. I thank God. I give my thanks to the Almighty God for having allowed me to become an ambassador, a shliach, a messenger. But I'm not going to kid myself. It's not that I am the one who brought you back. I am just an agent. And the ones who bring you back are you Zadis and you bubbies in the heavens above. Do you understand this? Is that kiss from our father Jacob? Is that hug from our father Jacob? Is the blessing? So our father Jacob says, don't want to be associated with their rebellion. I don't want to be associated with the rebellion. Disassociate me, so that one day they should be able to come back to me. One day they should be able to come. Sometimes it takes centuries. I have visited places in the four corners of the world where it seems like the Jewish people are no longer there. And guess what? The spark is still in there. The spark. In a second it could be kindled. There are people who came back to Judaism, and God forbid they could have been non-Jews already. Their bodies could have been non-Jewish. And their souls come from Sinai, and they feel the kiss of Father Jacob, and the hug of Father Jacob, and the blessing of Father Jacob, and they come back. Every one of you. We have a Father Jacob. And he's waiting for us. Joseph was 17 years old when he was sold into bondage to Egypt. He was the only Jew in Egypt. Jews were held as an abomination in Egypt. Hated, despised, persecuted. The only Jew in Egypt, 17 years old. Joseph was abandoned and betrayed and beaten by his own family, his own brethren. He was sold by them into bondage. Should he be angry? Of course. Should we abandon Judaism? Should he abandon the ways of his father Jacob? Of course. But you know what happened to him? He comes into the house of Potiphar, the minister in the cabinet of Pharaoh. Fabulously wealthy. Joseph is absolutely so handsome that anybody who sees him just is overwhelmed. The wife of this minister, Potiphar, falls in love with Joseph. She promises him everything, tries to seduce him. And Joseph says, no, with a capital N. And the Torah it's written like, no. A drawn out no. You know why? What saved him? It says, the Yukno shall aviv in his heart, in his mind, in the image of his mind. He saw the portrait of his father Jacob. And he remembered the blessing of his father Jacob. He said, I cannot give it up. He felt the kiss. He felt the hug. The Yukno shall aviv, the image of his father. And he was ready to go for 12 years into prison and never to compromise the image of his father. And that's the story of the Jewish people. We have been in prison, have been oppressed for almost 2,000 years. We have known every pain and every suffering and every torture, every oppression. And we are not finished yet, unfortunately. There's a new Hitler on the block. Hashem should only help us. And the entire world stands with him strong. And they all are committed to one thing, to annihilate and to exterminate every Jew. But the image of our father Jacob never left us. We still feel his kiss. We still feel his hands on our heads. We still feel his hug. So our father Jacob never associated himself with the genealogy of Korah. So that Korah should remember is a pure place for him to come home to. And that's what you have to remember. That's why you came to Hineni. Not because of my speech. I was just an agent. But God sent you to me as a gift. You know why? You know why to me? Because I remember the image of my father. Because I lived it. Very few people have a father Jacob before their very eyes. So I have to remind you because I saw him. I saw him. He's real. He is real. So Father Jacob the patriarch said, don't associate me. I want my children to come home. Never forget. And Father Jacob saw in Ruach HaKodesh, through his vision, through his spiritual vision, that from the grandchildren of Joseph, God forbid, wicked people would emerge, would be a terrible tragedy for the Jewish people. He said to Joseph, Kochem no'alai, bring them to me. Va'ochim, and let me bless them. Va'yishak lochem, and he kissed them. Va'ychabik lochem, and he hugged them. And forever and ever, you and I will feel the hug, the kiss, and the blessing over our heads. Never forget that. You are never alone. It's never over. Never over. So now we continue. So Korach is not succeeding. He won't succeed, but temporarily he succeeds. He goes from tent to tent to try to evoke revolution, rebellion against Moses. And it's working. Rebellion against Moses and Aaron. And the people who are joining him up front are mentioned. Who are they? The tribe of Reuben. I told you why, because they were denied of their first privileges. They are the firstborn, and they were denied of their privileges because they lost their privileges when they opted to go with the golden calf. And Levi was the only one who came forth and said, we will champion the cause of God. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I'll tell you very briefly. If you heard it from me, then hear it again. Last year, for Pesach, I was in 2 hotels last year. 2 years ago, actually. I was in 2 hotels. One here in New York and one in California. I had children in both hotels. So for the first days I was in New York, I was speaking here in New York every day. For the last days, I was going to be speaking in California. So Erev, the day when in the evening would be the second days of Passover, I was traveling from Kennedy to California, okay? I came early, took an early flight, it was Delta. I get to the airport in good time. I'm 45 minutes early. Is that good? I think that's good. It's not an international flight, just to California. 45 minutes early. They tell me, sorry, you're too late. I said, what? I said, you're too late. You have luggage. You have to be Delta's new rules. You have to be here 1 hour before the flight. My gosh, I go crazy. As much as I go crazy, I'm in control. Barbara loses it. And she says, do you know who this is? And they don't know what Rebbetzin, know what a Rebbetzin is? So Barbara demands, I want to see the manager. So the manager comes. She's an Afro-American lady. So Barbara tries to explain to her, and I try to explain. She says, I'm very sorry, I would like to help you, but I can't because these are the new rules at Delta, and I would be in trouble if I would look away. But I must tell you that all my life I've been praying to meet a Jewish lady rabbi. And God answered my prayer today. So she says, I'm putting you on the next flight. Until the flight comes in, I'm going to walk you to the gate and I'll spend the time with you. I'm going to take my lunch right now because I have so many questions to ask you. Oh my goodness. I'm ready to, but I say to myself, maybe Hashem made this happen. I know Hashem made this happen. There must be a reason. So she walks with us to the gate. She stays with us till they announce boarding. So what are her questions? One of her questions was this. why did God choose the tribe of Levi over other tribes to do the service in the temple? I said, sweetheart, God did not choose the tribe of Levi. The tribe of Levi chose God. And never forget that. Life is such, we all have to make choices. You are going to hear the call every day, Mila Hashem Eli, who is for God, come over here. Will you go where God is, or will you go where all the other things are? The filth, the perversions, the decadence, the money, where will you go? You have to make a choice every day, not just once, many times a day. You know what is happening to our country right now? Do you know that at the U.S. Opens, they did not mention the name of God in the Pledge of Allegiance? They omitted the name of God in the Pledge of Allegiance? The greatness of America has always been under God. Liberty for all, under God. Can you imagine what is happening? Who is for God? Come over here. The Levites chose God. So I explained that. So I always have to understand. Everyone has to make a choice. Everyone has to make a choice. 24/7 you are making your choices. And you have to remember that all your life. You have to make choices, proper choices. So all the people who joined Korach now are mentioned. Tribe of Reuben. And then there is a gentleman who's called Ombem Palace. Amazingly enough, when the rebellion really starts, the name of On is omitted. Who is this guy On? Who is he? And what happened to him? He was part of the rebellion as well. He goes home. And his wife, like all good wives, say, so where were you today, On? What did you do today, On? Well, I was studying with Moses. Oh, yeah? So what did Moses teach? He taught us, but before I tell you what he taught us, I might as well tell you we are making a revolution against him. I'm joining the guys, Korach, and the whole company. They are making a rebellion against him because it's nepotism. She said, how dare you, she says. You think I will live with a man who says something like that? Moses, the holy prophet who brought us forth from Egypt, made all the miracles for us, who sacrificed his life. Are you out of your mind? She said, sit down, I'll make you dinner. She makes him a good dinner. She gives him a lot of wine. And she says to him, think for a moment. So what benefit would be to you if Korach becomes the high priest? How would that help you? What are you doing? Rebel against who? Against what? The man of God? And she's talking and talking. Meanwhile, she's making him drink and drink. He's getting a little bit tipsy. She puts him to sleep. She doesn't want to take chances. She knocks him out and puts him in bed. Soon enough, somebody's at the door of the tent. Hello? Hello? On? And she says, I'm sorry. He's sleeping. Oh, we'll come in and we'll wake him up because, he wants to be part of this. We are starting a rebellion. She says, I'm sorry. I don't have my head covering on. In those days, no man would dare to look at a woman who was married without her head covering. As soon as you got married, your head had to be covered. And no man would dare to look. They would rather die than look at a woman without a head covering. So they had to leave. They couldn't go in. She wouldn't take a chance. So Ombem Palace was saved by who? His wife. He says, Chochmas Isho Bonso Ba is the wisdom of a woman creates a home. Whether your home will be this way or that way, light or darkness, blessing or curse depends upon the wife. Did you know that? And most men who go on a date never think of that. They just think, what size? How does she look? how does she look? They don't realize that the looks could change overnight. Don't realize that the size could change overnight. But a good heart can never change. Every man needs a woman to be his neshama, to be the soul that watches over him. That's why I always tell you, under the chuppah, the woman walks around the man 7 times. Doesn't say a word, walks around me 7 times. For 7 days of the week, I will be your protective wall. I will watch over you, my man. You are my man. I will watch over you. The father of my children. I will watch over you. On the other hand, Korach had a wife who was wicked. Korach would come home and she would say, so what did you do today, my husband? Oh, I went to Moses. I was listening to his teaching. Really? So what did he teach? Well, we learned about mezuzah. Really? Yeah, we have to put a mezuzah on the doorpost. And what's in the mezuzah? You know, passages from the Torah. So let me ask you, my husband, why don't you ask Moses, what if you have a place that has Torahs, it's full of Torahs? Do you still have to put a mezuzah? Do you? Here is an ark. We have Torah in the ark. We have 3 of them. Do we have a mezuzah on the door? Absolutely. Why? Why do we need it? That was Korach's wife's question. What does she mean by that? If you all heard the voice of God, if you all stood at Sinai, why do we need this leader? We are all prophets. You understand this? We are all Torahs. Why do we need a mezuzah? She incited him. And then, what else did Moses teach? She says, well, he taught us about tzitzis. You know those fringes that a man has to wear every day, all the time. And the fringes had to have techeles. Techeles was a certain blue string that was made from the dye of a certain fish. It's extinct. We cannot have the color anymore. It was not something that could be manufactured. It was made from the dye given off from this blue fish. You understand? That fish is no longer available to us. So she says, Korach's wife, what if you have a tzitzis that is all techeles, all blue? You still need an extra string? Same type of reasoning. It's all good. Why do we need a leader? We all stood at Sinai. We all heard the voice of God. Who needs this? Do you understand what she was doing? She was mocking everything that Moses taught. She incited her husband instead of calming him down. Moses is taking everything over. It's nepotism. He appoints his brother Aaron. Aaron is taking everything over. You know, just that you should understand, a man has to put on tefillin every day, every morning, except Shabbos. Why? Because it's the covenant between God and the Jewish people. Tefillin is one of the symbols of the covenant. If you don't have a tefillin, I suggest you go to one of our rabbis, Rabbi Osher, on Monday night, or Rabbi Yis, when he's here, ask them to help you obtain a tefillin. If you do have a tefillin, use it. But before you use it, if it has been laying dormant in your closet, or you inherited it from somebody like your grandfather or your father, you have to check if it's still kosher, meaning that the letters inside did not fall away. So that is our covenant. On Shabbos, we don't need a tefillin, because Shabbos itself is a covenant, a symbol of the covenant. But you put on the tefillin only in the morning. What about the rest of the day? In the Shema it says, Uvisem, also you have to see it when the tzitzis is hanging there. And you feel like going into a Chinese restaurant that's not kosher. Oh, the tzitzis is there. You'll feel like an idiot going in. You understand? So the tzitzis reminds you of who you are 24/7. that fill in the morning, but then you go out into this crazy world. And there's so many seductions, so many enticements, so many pulls, so many tests, so many challenges. Will you be able to survive it? No. But if you have tzitzis on, you are reminded of who you are. And you can survive it all. You are strong. You may be tempted, yes, but then the tzitzis hits you in the face. And you remember who you are. Now, the word for blue, that blue fringe, that blue string. See, Hebrew, I always tell you, is a definitive language. Every word is definitive. Is techeles. What techeles means? Comes from the word tachlis. You know what tachlis means? Bottom line. Bottom line. Goal. In the Orthodox world, for example, if a young man and a woman want to date, they're ready to go on dates. Let's say the girl is 19, 18, she's ready to go on a date. Then the mother and the father will tell you, my daughter will only go for tachlis. Tachlis means end goal. Not to have a dinner, not to have fun, not to have a relationship, but to see if this young man could be a candidate for marriage, and vice versa with the young man. If he's not a candidate for marriage, and you investigate whether he's a possible candidate and he's not, you stay home. Why should you waste your time? Read a book. Use your time wisely. To kill a night for what? For what? So we only date for tachlis in the Orthodox world. You understand? Tachlis means a purpose, a goal. And what is the purpose? To get married. Only marriage. If you don't find that this could be a possible candidate, you don't date. The blue string is your end goal, your purpose. Look up to the heavens above. Remind yourself who you are, where you came from. So Korach's wife was the one who destroyed Korach at the end. Because if you have a wife who can protect you, you'll be protected. You'll be protected. Now there were some other people who joined the revolution, the rebellion. Two gentlemen called Dosan and Aviram. They are the most despicable gentlemen. Jews, mind you. Moses encountered them in the book of Exodus. Moses, when he became a young man, he was the prince, the favored prince in the palace of Pharaoh. Pharaoh adored him. He was going to become the next Pharaoh in Egypt. Moses goes out to the slave camps, to his brethren, tries to help them, cries over them, helps them. He sees an Egyptian beating a Jew. He takes the Egyptian and he just pronounces the name of God, and the Egyptian disappears. He's buried in the sand. He's gone, blotted out. The next day, Moses goes out again to the slave camps. These two guys, who he saved the day before, are fighting with each other now. Says, Russia, you evil one, why are you beating up your own brother? This is your brother, what are you doing? So one of them says, are you going to do to us also that which you did to the Egyptian? And they went to Pharaoh and they complained that this grandson is not a grandson, he's a Jew. And that's when Moses had to run away. So these two guys now joined the rebellion. They are the head of the rebellion. They are spearheading it together with Korah. So I ask you a question. Why didn't God get rid of them in the plague of darkness when 4/5 of the Jewish people were wicked, disappeared? Only 1/5 was able to go out. Only 1/5 merited it. So why didn't God get rid of them? Dosan and Aviram, they certainly should have been gotten rid of, no? But this is life. And listen to me carefully. There's always someone in this world, till Mashiach will come, till Messiah comes, who is going to seduce you. So you have to pass the test. No man can walk on the road of life without encountering a Satan. Satan is not someone with horns and with tails. A Satan is somebody who wants to seduce your mind and your heart, to take you away from the path of God, to make you forget that you are the child of Jacob, that he kissed you and that he hugged you, and he gave you a blessing. And you find them every day, not just once, but many times a day. Will you be a Levite? Will you say, no, I'm going with God? Or will you fall to their seductions? That's the question. So God allowed Dosan and Abiram to remain alive so that you should have a choice. Because if you don't have a choice, then you cannot have a leap of faith. Then there's no reward and punishment. Every man has choices. God is not a puppeteer, and we are not puppets. You have choices. Left or right, darkness or light, faith or money, truth or lies, service, giving or selfishness, greed, choices. There's always someone who will try to seduce you and take you away and rob you of the blessing of your father Jacob, so you should no longer remember his hug and his kiss. And when that happens to you, run. Come to a Torah class. Come. You'll open the book. You once again remember who you really are. Your mission, your purpose. Don't get lost, children. Don't miss a class. Because when you study Torah, when you come over here, it's not me who is teaching you. You know who is speaking to you? You Zadis and you Bubbies are no longer here. And the words come from God himself. In conclusion, because we cannot really conclude because we don't have time, let me just say to you one thing. That Korah, Dosan and Abiram all disappeared. The earth swallowed Dosan and Abiram, swallowed him. Not that there was an earthquake, just where he was standing, where his family was standing, the earth opened up and closed. What happened to Korah? He's gone. But guess what? Moses was able to reach the hearts of the sons of Korah. The blessing of Jacob came to the sons of Korah. Do you know who was a descendant of Korah many years later? Centuries later? Samuel the prophet, who is compared to Moses and Aaron. And on Rosh Hashanah, when you go to shul, what is the most important part of the service on Rosh Hashanah? If you miss that, you missed Rosh Hashanah. What is that? The blowing of the shofar. Before we blow the shofar, we have a beautiful psalm. Lam natseach livnei Korach. The beautiful songs, the beautiful psalms that were written by the sons of Korach. The blessing of our father Jacob is real. Korach sinned, but his children redeemed him. You know what you can do? Every one of you? By being here, by turning to Torah and mitzvahs, you could send the most amazing gifts to your descendants from here, but that would give them strength. But more importantly even, I shouldn't say more importantly, but equally important, you could send the most amazing gifts to your bobbies and your zadis, your mummies and your daddies if they're no longer here. You could redeem them. You could redeem them. I know someone who had a father who was a very, very difficult man. He gave her so much grief. So much grief. She had a cause, she had a right not to talk to him, but she's a Jew. And we always forgive. Always remember the blessing of our father Jacob. And she spent 24/7 with him in his final days. She brought him to tshuva, to repentance. He came to understand the meaning of God. He prayed. Never prayed in his life. She taught him how to pray. Do you understand the greatness of the Jewish people? Sometimes it comes from a daughter, a granddaughter, who redeems your soul. Like Korach was redeemed by his sons. And sometimes, and all times, all the time, our patriarchs are watching us and redeeming us. Never forget. Kochem no'olai. Bring them to me, Jacob said. Va'avochem, I will bless them. Va'ishak lochem, and I will kiss them. Va'ichabek lochem, and I will hug them. In the name of our patriarchs and matriarchs, in the name of Hashem, I hug you all. And I kiss you all. I bless you all. Never forget who you are, and always make the right choices. I go with God, and not with the nonsense. I go with God. So I want to wish everyone a good Shabbos, a good month, and after the class, as we always have this wonderful opportunity, Fedel, the daughter of Chaya Golda Fegel Bas Yitzchak, is going to share challah with you in honor of her mother, Olahu Hashalom, for Dali of her neshama. And I just want to tell you that next week is the 4th of July. So for the 4th of July weekend, we are going to be closed, but we are going to reopen the following week. So the 4th of July weekend, and have a very nice vacation, but don't forget who you are. Make right choices. Enjoy your weekend, and Be'ezrat Hashem, the following week we are going to be together again. Good Shabbos, and God bless you all.